watching Money Talk Viewpoint, and I'm Chantel Leeson. We're the online talk show for financial professionals who specialize in family office, high net worth, and ultra high net worth clients. The unique thing about successful businesses is they all have one thing in common. They know how to market themselves to the right people with the right subject at the right time. So our guest speaker, if you're looking for a place to market your services, reach out to us at moneytalkviewpoint.org. Now, my guest speaker for today is Scott Buss, and he's the founder of Advent Jet, and it's a concierge service for the ultra high net worth. Scott, how are you this morning?
Very good. How are you doing? Thank you, Chantel, for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us all about I know it's more than just a jet company, but tell us all about what you do and how you got started. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. So a little bit about me is I'm from the Midwest, originally reside in Scottsdale, Arizona. Basically, I'm a self-taught entrepreneur, like many people out there, was come from the mortgage and real estate background. What I found out is I got into private aviation about 8 years ago. And we always think as owning something or starting something, the more that you can kind of control the client in a good way, the more likely they're going to have a good experience. So I started with the private aviation, and then it just kind of led into a global white glove concierge. So now we have relationships, family offices, sports advisors, you name it, family people that will come out and reach out and say, okay, we want to fly private, we need a Bentley, we need executive protection, or they might call and say, we need a nanny, or we need a personal assistant, or we want to go to Formula One, or whatever it may be. So that's kind of what I did. I developed the relationships first all my life, as I'm a very spiritual person. So I believe God brought all these relationships all my life. And then what I did is I formed a business around it, where in business, a lot of people will have to go out and get the relationships or the contacts. I've already built that all my life. I didn't know that until I was 47 years old when I started the business.
You know, I'm going to say you answered about 5 questions all in one paragraph there. I was going to ask you how you got started in the business, but you sort of answered that. But what I like that you pointed out is that it started from something deep within you.
Yes.
Because you're right. Most of us do it we go through a cold list and you know, you'll buy tons of leads and you just whip through the leads. But you did it the other way around.
Correct.
How did you build that first relationship?
You know, I think the first relationship I didn't know back then, and being a very spiritual, a lot of my relationships, God was putting me in touch and place to form this business. And I was raised by a single mom. My mom's my world. Shout out to my mom. Hi, Mom. And so basically, I've always been distilled with trust and transparency at a young age. And that carries over to friendship, relationships, business, whatever. I always say you have to have a foundation of trust, respect, honesty, and communication. And so at a young age, I think that just distilled in me. I didn't know where I was going to be, but that's what it transitioned later on in life. Then I finally became a man, and it's like, okay, now I know why I have these relationships.
You know, Scott, I want to point out something too. You said trust. Believe it or not, many people don't understand that, but that is a critical factor in building relationships. Because when you think about anything in the sales industry or the financial services industry or anything that people are dealing with people's assets, it's fast-paced, fast-moving. And to me, we sort of leave out how important that is. And it's not a fancy tool. It's just a gut level, in the heart feeling. You have to be able to trust the people you're around. I know in family office, we can't have people on our team we don't trust because there's too much confidentiality involved. The people you're dealing with, they have to trust you. The clients have to trust you. All the people on that team have to be people you trust.
Agree. I agree.
So I like that you brought that out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Trust is something you have to earn. Takes time. Some of these relationships and building rapport with people, it's not overnight. But with my business, I've really never had to market. It's all been word of mouth, organically. And I think that's the strongest part that I can give that God gave me the ability to white label, build myself. And trust is earned, but I can be brash where you burn me once, I move on from you. But as God would say, you have a rear view mirror and you have a windshield. The windshield can move forward, keep going. The rear view mirror is so small and tiny. You know, I don't have time for toxic. And so trust is very important, distilled. And I think a lot of people, and when you work with like-minded people, you shouldn't have to, it's just common sense.
I like it. You're exactly right. Exactly. Let me ask you now, that being said, who is your target client? Do you have a specific target client? In other words, are you doing with Hollywood stars or athletes or corporations or tell us who you look for, or how do you find them?
Sure. So a lot of the relationships that I have are people on TV shows, high net worth individuals that want to not, they travel private for a reason. They don't want to be posting to social media and things like that. Family offices, sports agents, business women, businessmen, families. We work with all kinds. The reason why is our company is a little bit different, if I can share. Most companies, you have to buy a membership and then you're committed to lock into like 20 hours. Well, Chantel, if you're a businesswoman and you're only going to fly once or twice a year and maybe only 4 or 5 hours, why should you pay a big fee and lock in to commit to 20 hours? I know that word commitment scares a lot of people sometimes, but when you're talking jet aviation, so our client is, we have people that with COVID, they've never flown private, but they wanted to find out what the cost is and things like that. It's not cheap, I will say that, but there are alternative options out there to save the client's money. But you don't have to deal with, it's a lot more economical. And I use this as an example real quick. Based in Scottsdale. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll have business people that will fly from, say, Scottsdale to California. And what we'll do is think flying commercial to California, renting a car, how many days it's going to be. Well, what we can do is we can fly you to San Diego, LA area, San Francisco. You could do 3 to 5 meetings in a day and still be back. So, we can do that to Texas. We can do that around the world. So it's now, is your ROI worth it? Because if you meet at the FBOs, you can have food catered in. There's a lot of different things that I try to gain. I'm not just here to show what the best option. I try to give options for every client's individual or family needs.